Hello, welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene. I'm talking to you from the camp in Nova Scotia, close to Liverpool, on the mouth of the Medway River. You may hear banjo music in the background. That's Steve practicing. I hope he's not playing anything that I'm going to get caught on. Yeah, okay. Well, anyways, it's too late. So I'm not sure when this is going to be in your hands. We have to drive into Liverpool in order to upload. That's the word I'm searching for. We tried to do it here with one of those hotspots, and it said that it would take 5 hours, which was way longer than the battery length of whatever the different devices were. So, yeah, you'll get this eventually. We have had a really weird rainstorm the other day. It was one of those yellow alerts, and it said there was going to be like 100 centimeters worth of rain, and we'd never been here. I know that the property has had that much rain on it in the past, but we've never been here, and it was at high tides, and so it was like, they're warning about rivers and creeks overflowing, and we've got a big river over there, and in behind, sort of opposite to where I'm sitting, there's a creek that flows into the marsh. So we just weren't sure. We decided it would be safer to just abandon ship and go into Halifax, where I had a lovely time reading. And one of the books that I was reading, I guess I should start with the book that I finished. It took us a while to actually leave because, they say, quick, get out. And we're like, we can't go. The tide's not high enough. We've got to get the boat over to sort of over my right shoulder. There's a bridge that is on the road, and the boat has to go under the bridge in order to get to our dock. And so we're waiting for high tide because otherwise there's not enough water under the bridge to get it across. And no, we weren't being told to, hurry and get out, but it was more like we wanted to get out. And so there's this tension going on, and I'm reading this book, and I'm coming to the end, and I'm like getting tenser and tenser, and I'm thinking, is it the writing? Or is it the boat? This is the second in the series of The Impossible Creatures, written by Katherine Randel. It's called The Poisoned King, and the artwork is by Ashley Mackenzie. And I did pick it up while I was on a book tour with my friend July, I guess it was. It's got, lovely little deckled edges, and see if I can find a picture. Yeah, there we go. It's got sort of very energetic artwork, and it's not exactly front on, and you get a quite very a very alive action scene. And even on the pages that aren't fully illustrated, there are illustrations that everything's just it's very verb driven, the art. It's not too many drawings are kind of soft and contemplative. They're very much of what's happening in the action, and they go along quite well. And I would say that sometimes you get an image in your head and you think, oh, I wish they wouldn't draw things. That interferes with how I was thinking about it. But I find that these actually go along quite well with what was in my head, because they do a beautiful job of describing the creatures. There's all these impossible creatures that the children bump into, which I'll tell you about. And they're very well described. And so what's in my head merges quite well with the illustrations. So that's a very cool thing. Now, the two main characters are Christopher, who we met in the book one, and he is a guardian of this archipelago. And this archipelago has magical creatures. Some of them sort of are across the whole archipelago, and some of the islands are particular to different species. And there are human habitations all over the place. And what we come across is one of the islands where there is a older king, bit of a dickhead, and he's got two sons, and the one who's going to inherit is by nature a fairly quiet, thoughtful kind of a person. He's a scientist, very much involved in working with plants, magical plants, and things that are going to work for the benefit of both animals and people. And then the younger brother, of course, is a cad. And so we have cad things happening. There's a poisoned person, as you can tell by the title, the Poisoned King. And the daughter of the eldest son, his name is Anya. And Anya's mom had died when she was younger, so she goes along with her dad pretty well. They have quite a nice relationship, and then they have to go back to the castle and be more royal. And things start to go down for her. She's not being very well prepared for this kind of a life, so she's struggling with all the etiquettes and all that sort of thing. So she's not in her natural habitat. And what she wants to do more than anything is try and just put up with things until she thinks she's old enough where she can just tell everybody to buzz off. But little does she know. And so things start to go wrong because the brother, the uncle, the cad, blows everything up, and everyone's expectations turn upside down. So now the archipelago is in danger, and Christopher the Guardian has been brought back, and we see the two of them join together. Now, while all this is going on, dragons are being poisoned, and Christopher's first duty of care is to the animals. That's his role, and his point of view is we can't save what's happening in your kingdom if we don't save these dragons. If we don't have dragons in the archipelago, we don't have an archipelago. So, I sure hope I'm saying that right. Archipelago? We're going to go with archipelago. And so, they have to solve these dying dragons issues. Who's poisoning the dragons, as well as sort of secondary creatures who will drink the same water or come in contact with the dead bodies, and well, all the gold is missing. So there's lots of mysteries, there's many plot lines going on. Some of the characters from the previous book come forward into this book and take on those roles. So book 3, this one ends in such a way that you might think there isn't going to be a book 3, because everything ties up in such a way that there isn't a cliffhanger, but there are still a number of loose ends. So I am definitely headed to purchase book 3. I'm going to try and get that for September. I don't know if we're going back into Lunenburg, because I know that's where book 3 was at Lunenburg Bound, but I think I'll just call my Halifax bookshop and ask them to order it in if they don't already have it. So I absolutely love this series. I think it's great for kids. I think any adult who likes a dragon story. Yeah. Dragons here aren't the predominant characters, but they are essential to the story. So, and there's a small dragon. He's about this big. He's hilarious. He was so funny in book 1, and he continues to be a hoot in book 2. All right, the next thing we're doing is I got home, and I thought, well, what am I going to read? Because of this weird brainstorm. I didn't have time to think about what would be a good book to follow on The Poisoned King. And so under the stairs, where I've got a whole pile of books in waiting, there's a series that I picked up some time back from one of the free libraries. And it is the mystery series written by Allison Montclair. And do they give it a series title? Let me think. I think there is. Let me see. A Sparks and Bainbridge Mystery. Because right over here I've got book number 2. So got this in the free library, and the person who had donated had tied 4 or 5 books together with a string, and she put little sticky notes on saying book 1, book 2. So it was just so nicely handled, and I realized it was even purchased in Dartmouth Book Exchange, which I have yet to go into. So further adventures. The Right Sort of Man is kind of I'm going to say it's pretty much excellent. It doesn't suffer. Well, let's start with the stuff that it doesn't do, because I'm happy about it. It does not. The writer does not fall into the path of telling you what you already know. So each chapter keeps moving the story forward. rarely do we summarize, or blessedly, when a situation arises where a summary has to take place, the characters will say to whomever, well, da 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 da, and the author says, Iris summed up the story. And like, thank God. So, so we don't have to listen to it over and over again. We have two characters, and they come together at a wedding, and they're just the most unlikely pair, which is part of the fun. We have Iris, who was educated in Cambridge, and I guess we could say she came from middle class background. And during the war, she was brought over to do behind enemy lines. She did that kind of counter espionage, assassination kind of stuff. She had a very hard war, lots of violence. She's a bit traumatized by it, and she is a risk taker. Oh my, she is a risk taker. And the second character is Mrs. Gwendolyn Bainbridge. She is from the aristocracy, more or less, and she's married up into a family that is definitely aristocracy. Her husband had died. They'd been married for about 4 or 5 years, I guess. And anyways, he died in the war very quickly. And so, yeah, she's a widow, a traumatized widow. And her self-destruction came forward at the news of his death. And so she's put into a sanatorium for a few months until she, got back on her feet. And there were serious, serious consequences for that for her. Her life has been completely upended as a result of the way she didn't choose to grieve. The way that she expressed her grief was, had terrible consequences. So she is dealing with that and the aftermath. Iris and she met at this wedding, and they decided, through a bunch of different conversations, they decided to start a marriage matching bureau. So like we have today online, but this was in person. So people would go for interviews, and they would try and match man to woman, not man to man yet. Sorry, too soon. So as a course of this, they in the first book they encounter a fairly chirpy kind of working class girl, and a couple days later she's found murdered. And in the course of those couple of days, they had set her up with a potential match, and the story from there just kind of evolves. He's found he's not found guilty. He is believed to be the murderer, but Iris and Gwen, for their reasons, think no, that's not the case, and they decide to get sidetracked into the detecting business as they move from, as they're still trying to keep their business going, but they're also trying to find out who is the real murderer. And it turns into quite a rollicking story, and I think both they have such good banter. I mean, it's not the kind of tit-for-tat banter that you get in some of the modern readings. These are two ladies who are a little more sophisticated. They're, what shall they say? Their digs are more intelligent, and it's just not basic slapstick kind of banter. It's sometimes you have to think, oh, shit, that was a good one. So they are on this hunt, and they're meeting all kinds of resistance along the way. And both Gwen and Iris have parts of their past coming back to, I would say it's more or less to haunt them. In one instance, sorry, I'm just a little uncomfortable here. In one instance, I think for Gwen, it's actually a positive, a person that she bumps into. But Gwen is growing quite a bit and coming into herself quite a bit more. And Iris, I think, is starting to come out of the intensity of the war. It's not that far. It hasn't been that many months since the war has been over. And so she's still in that kind of high tension that you would be if you were undercover, or she still has those kinds of, not PTSD. Both ladies are suffering from PTSD, but Iris doesn't even know it exists, and Gwen was in a sanatorium suffering from it. So they have got journeys to go through that deal with their war trauma, but also they were really young girls when this started. So their whole lives, 5 years of their lives have been sort of cut out. Like you don't exactly mature during the war. You kind of endure more than anything. And so these two people are coming to grips with who they think they might be and what does that look like and what are the consequences, and solving murders. So in this one, because I love this so much, before we left the house, we were in the car, we were about to go, and I said, "Stop the car!" I ran back into the house and I grabbed book 2. A Royal Affair. And so same characters, same kind of background issues, same kind of concerns, but these characters with each book, as she says, are making progress, or maybe they're not so much making progress as they're making a journey. They're not stuck in their personas, which is really cool. And they have been approached by one of Gwen's cousins, who's sort of not exactly a lady in waiting to Queen Mary at that time. And Princess Elizabeth at this point is starting to fall in love with Prince Philip, and is he a suitable candidate? And so there's not only just is he as a human being a suitable candidate to become Prince Consort eventually, but then there's this sort of political background. Do they want, if you take Prince Philip out of the picture and just put any particular man who represents what Prince Philip represents, do they want that kind of a person to be married to the future queen? So there's lots of political stuff going on in behind. And so what they, Iris and Gwen, have to do is try and figure out a blackmail situation that's going on behind the queen's well, she doesn't know it, and Princess Elizabeth is completely oblivious. So this lady in waiting has tried to sort out a blackmailing situation, but she's not very honest herself, which we're just beginning to discover. I'm about halfway through. Yeah, she's not very trustworthy, even though Gwen's her cousin. She has, people don't always put family first. So I'm really enjoying this. It's very hard to put down. I think based on it so far, I'm really looking forward to book 3, and I'm not even halfway there. So Allison Montclair. Now, what I didn't check, and I meant to, was to see. Yeah, I think this is the only series that she's written as of 20. This book was in 22. The second one's in 2020. Pardon me, 2020. So let's give her 2020, say 18 months, and I have 5. But yeah, so I think this is the only series she's working on. Right. So last week we finished John McNabb as our read aloud, and really enjoyed it, as I said last week. And this week we like to do a Terry Pratchett every summer if we can. I picked this book up in St. John's at the book St. John, New Brunswick. I never remember where the S goes. And it's a lovely little book. I was really taken with the book itself, and I thought, I don't think I've read it, but I just love the way it's been bound, and I love the hardcoverness. And I hardly ever buy hardcovers, and certainly I haven't for Terry Pratchett because there's so many. My goodness, he would take up a whole library just with his books alone. So at the moment, we're pretty sure we haven't read this, although we have read one where Sam Vimes is the, I guess, chief of police, you could say, for the city of Ankh. Is it Ankh-Morpark? And he has a group of policemen, let's say. And one of the things he has done is he has hired trolls and dwarves, and it's not just humans. He's spread out. He's had inclusivity as part of his hiring schemes, and he is currently about to interview a vampire. That's not going over too well. The populace are like going, "Oh, you can't give a vampire that kind of power. What are you thinking?" So I don't know exactly where this is going. The first 10 sentences introduce a murder, and Coombe Valley is where the trolls ambushed the dwarves. or the dwarfs ambushed the trolls, which is a long time ago. But if he doesn't solve a murder, the one I just mentioned, Sam Vines will see it fought again right outside his office. So, yeah, I guess he's got a murder coming his way. I don't know, we're about page 10, something like that. I just always love a Terry Pratchett, and they do read really out loud really well. He's one of those authors that I'm sure if I was a fly on the wall, I'm sure I would see him sitting at his desk, having a drink, smoking a cigar, whatever, and reading it out loud to himself or to the dog, or maybe his wife, or maybe the neighbor next door. I don't know, but he has the gift of creating a sentence that you want to hear. There are other books we've talked about where the story's good or the character's good, but as a read aloud or an audiobook, no. And Terry Pratchett was just such a skilled writer. And I think over time, I don't know where this one is in the, from 1 to 600, however many he wrote. But he really has his own voice. I think he really... not very long into his writing career, I think he heard the song in his head and he just kept singing it on the pages. And so I think this is one of the things you can say about Terry Pratchett books, is that although the stories change and the sort of emphasis and his wit stays pretty much the same, and his joy of fooling around with language stays the same, his voice does not become an uneven book to book, so that it's a little bit like P.G. Wodehouse. You always, when you get into a P.G. Wodehouse, you always know what kind of a voice you're going to get. So this is a wonderful summer book. We've only got about 7 more days here, and I just counted. I have over 10 books to read, and I think they'll all be, they're all about this size, so I think I have more than enough books to get me through 7 days. And I don't think we have any more rainstorms coming our way, or heat waves, thankfully. So, sometimes that means I do other things. I find, like, it was so damp during the rainstorms that my feet were sticking to the floor because it's just humid. So I thought, I'll put some socks on and it'll be easier to walk on these floors. Not just here, which are wooden decking. I do wear socks on the wooden decking, ruin the socks every summer. But at home, where it's proper flooring, it was so humid that my socks were wet after a couple of hours of just walking around through the house. That's how damp it was. And so the pages of, if I'm doing art or doing writing or any of that kind of, the papers are like, ugh. So, yeah, that's why it's better to read a book. Because, I don't know, even though if those pages get a little bit damp, you can still turn them. So, well, I guess that's it for me. I don't know when you'll see this, as I say, and I hope that, I guess the next time when I see you, 7 days, I might be back in Halifax the next time I see you guys, but if not, there will be one last one from here, and I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye for now.